When the third company arrives on scene, they're going to be assigned rescue and entry operations. Initially, they may need to augment what the support group is doing and the hazard management group is doing as far as establishing initial panel sets and getting struts prepared. It depends on that timeline of how staggered they are when they arrive. Once you've got your panels in and you're ready to start shooting shores, that rescue team should have already assigned an entry group, typically a pair of individuals. If your trench is 8 feet or less, then that pair of individuals are going to enter the trench with appropriate PPE, nail aprons, hammers, speed squares, tape measures, and appropriate digging material and bucket support. If you're deeper than 8 feet, then you need to establish a high directional so that each one of those entrants can be on Class 3 harnesses with retrieval lines so that you're prepared to help assist their exiting of the trench if need be. Make sure that you don't put more bodies in the trench than is necessary, and from the perspective of the commander or the squad leader for that rescue group, always have your backup personnel equally equipped and ready on standby. So if you've got 2 guys in the trench, you want 2 guys on standby on the deck ready to relieve those guys. It's a good practice to establish working times. Watch your personnel in the trench. When they start to become fatigued or potentially overheated, you should be ahead of that time curve and have your backup personnel already rotating into the trench, ready to relieve those guys. Although the OSHA requirement is ladders for points of egress every 25 feet within the trench, we like to see multiple egress points created every time you have a working zone within the trench. So if you have rescuers in a specific protected area, have an egress point in that protected area regardless of the span of 25 feet. So throw as many ladders as you can, provided that they don't prevent the operational functionality of the groups that are inside of the trench. Once all 3 groups are working cohesively like that, we're ready to attack the rescue sequence. Ensure that you're adaptive. Make sure that if things aren't working with the initial rescue sequence plan, that you've got a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D developed loosely. Clean up those plans and start to implement them. Once we've procured the victim and the rescue sequence is over, you need to do a serious risk-benefit analysis about disassembly of the trench. When we tear apart our shoring material that's in the trench, we always want to do it in opposite sequence of insertion. If there's any possibility of secondary collapse or furthering harm to rescuers once the rescue scenario is completed, you may elect to bypass that and utilize excavation equipment and recovery crews to garner your equipment back out of the trench. If you can safely and effectively do it, ensure that you're doing it from the top side. Allow your entry teams to pre-connect everything that they can possibly pre-connect and exit from the trench when removing panels and shoring systems. If you don't have enough logistical support equipment via hoses, either hydraulics or pneumatics, to repressurize your systems and then depressurize them with everybody on the top side, and ensure that you're pulling your personnel back into protective zones before you release any elements of what's in the trench.